Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Incident in a Ghostland. Cast and crew is down below, and I'll start as usual by reading the plot of IMDb. Uh, a mother of two who inherits a house is confronted with murderous intruders on the first night in their new home and fights for her daughter's lives. 16 years later, when the daughters reunite at the house, things get really strange. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as I can, but I'm not going to make any promises. This one does have a twist or two, and I would say that probably later in the movie it's really left for interpretation. So therefore, it might be hard for me to talk about this without um, giving away a couple of things. So be warned. I'm gonna try my best not to give away too many things, and may hint at some things. If you've seen the movie, maybe you'll know kind of where I'm going. But I don't want to come right out and spoil this because this is still a more recent movie. I believe this one's on Shudder right now, and I don't want to come right right out and just blow this movie for you if you haven't seen it. One thing I'll start off by saying is this is done by the writer and the director is Pascal Laugier or something like that. I butcher names all the time, but he is also the guy who did Martyrs, which I'm a huge fan of. Love that movie, and I know a lot of people love that movie. So one of the first things you definitely get in this movie, or one of the things about this movie, which I can say, and which I enjoyed, which might be a crazy thing saying, is how brutal it is. Martyrs is a brutal movie. They do a lot of abuse to the girl in that one, and here you have two daughters who get a lot of abuse to them as well. So expect that. If you haven't seen this movie, expect that. Brace yourselves, because these girls get put through the ringer. They get dragged around, beat, slapped, punched, everything. I mean, they just there's just no mercy on these girls. Um, they're not really sexually abused. I mean, there is one thing that one of the guys does that's a little weird. um, but the film never really dives too far in that direction. But they are definitely beat up and dragged around and so forth. So, oh, I don't know if it's his MO or why he likes doing this. I would have to look at some of his other movies. I'm not sure, but it's still, it really puts the horror in the movie. And as I said in the plot description here, the movie doesn't waste too much time here. You have the mother and the daughters. They're driving to this new house, and let's see, you have two daughters here, Beth and Vera, and Beth is she likes horror. She likes writing horror, and this is them at a young age. They're teen girls, and as they're driving, they kind of express how she likes to write and horror, and that kind of sets the stage for your interpretation of this movie and where it goes, because she makes it clear that she likes to write horror. So you're wondering in different parts of this movie, is this movie all of her writing story? Was this one of her ideas? Is she telling the story, or is this really happening? So they kind of implant that in your mind there. So anyway, they take you to the house. The girls are getting settled. They're moving stuff in the rooms. The house is a little bit creepy. there's a creepiness to this house. There's some strange dolls around and so forth, and it kind of makes you wonder the whole setup here, because they supposedly inherited by their aunt, but what they quickly find and what you quickly find is that there is two crazy murderous people here who there was an incident on the road, not an incident in Ghostland, but on the road, as they were driving to the house, and it turns out that these are the same people. Of course, we've seen that in a lot of horror movies. You have an incident on the road with somebody, that's probably not the last time you've seen them. So here we go again, and these guys have apparently followed them to the house. And apparently these guys, have been in this house before. They're very comfortable in this house. Again, I don't know. They don't clarify a time period of how long the aunt passed away to how long maybe these guys were in the house. Maybe these guys were in the house with the aunt. I don't know, what's happening here. But they're pretty comfortable here. I thought at maybe one point they started in one house and they were taken to another. I mean, that could have happened, and maybe I missed it. But regardless, these guys know the house and know the ways here. So it starts off here, if you remember, Martyrs started off right off with a bang. And this one may take, like I said, there's a little bit of a car ride and then they get to the house. So it may take a little bit longer, but it doesn't make you wait too long overall to when the mother basically starts fighting with one of these guys. The other guy comes for the daughters, and it's just all out craziness. Again, like I said, he dragging around the girls, hitting the girls. At first the mother's kind of knocked out. You think she's out of the picture. And then she kind of wakes up, fights back. The mother puts on a hell of a fight back. You see the girls get dragged into a basement, and then they get separated. One girl gets taken into another room in the basement, and one kind of tries to escape, but she's having a hard time escaping. You'll see Beth, the way her character is even though she likes horror, she's very scared still. She's very hesitant. She's not going to be, the mom you see fights back. The other girl kind of is a little bit more tougher, and you would expect her to fight back, but, this guy's just too big. And, Beth is just completely freaked out. And, her first instinct is to escape, but she really just can't do it. A little bit of his fear, a little bit of just not knowing what's going on. So the mother comes and tries to save them again, but it just doesn't end well. And then the movie kind of stops, and here, you have a very violent scene and chaos going around, and then all of a sudden it stops. So here's where they're opening the door to the interpretation of the rest of this movie. What point of view are you, again, I'm trying not to spoil anything for people who have not seen this movie. I would just say, pay attention to what's going on. There is a twist where I picked up on it, and I think it's just from seeing a lot of horror movies. I could tell what they were doing here, and they were trying to keep it a secret, but I thought it was, I'm not going to say fairly, I want to say fairly obvious, but, to someone who has seen horror movies and kind of guessing that maybe some twists were coming, that this could be a possibility. This movie was recommended to me. It's not one I kind of stumbled upon, so I was kind of already tipped off to pay attention to things, and there were twists. So I guess, I was a little bit alerted, so maybe now you're a little bit alerted. But yeah, the movie then kind of stops in the middle of this battle, and then moves forward 16 years, like they say, and then you see the girls as adults. And, it's almost too good to be true, because you see a world in which Beth is married or she has a fiance. I don't remember if they were actually married or whatever. But she's living a good life. She's an author now. She's writing horror books. Her most recent book is about this incident, and kind of dives into it. So it's a little personal, and so you're thinking, okay, she made it out okay. I mean, is that really possible? I mean, that was a pretty big event, and she seems to be living a good life. And all of a sudden, she gets a call from home from her sister. I believe it was her sister that calls. Sister's freaked out, says, come back to the house. So all of a sudden she picks up her stuff and goes back to the house. Where you see the mom and you see the sister, but the sister is completely opposite. She's been completely traumatized and supposedly locked up since the incident happened. So, it's a peculiar scene here because, you're wondering, the two sisters have such a different time here. One is completely traumatized. One looks like, the world couldn't have been greater because of it. But, that's hard to believe after such an incident like they went through. You would think that maybe it would be meet somewhere in between. So, this kind of starts going on here where the girls get reunited and the mom is there, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the movie starts going back to the incident and you see further of what happens. And then it kind of goes a little bit back and forth, kind of bringing you to a nice world of Beth telling her story and then the brutalness of the girls continuing to get tortured and abused. And I don't want to say too much more, but again, I guess, you got to pay attention to time periods here and what point of view is really happening here and so forth. Like I said, there is a twist. I think it's kind of a little bit obvious. It wasn't a shocker when I saw it. I can kind of see where they were going with this. But really, this is a movie you have to pay attention to. And it is hard. You're paying attention to it and you're seeing a lot of brutal stuff. There's a scene where the guy, basically makes one of the girls into a doll, puts her with the rest of the dolls, and he starts messing with the dolls and basically torturing the dolls, and then she's almost next, and so forth. There's a scene where they almost escape, but then they drive back. So there's a lot going on here, and really, really left with the way the movie ends. Your interpretation of did all of this really happen? Is this really Beth's just a story by Beth? Did Beth really have this dream world, or were they really just stuck in this nightmare forever? So these are things you have to consider and kind of take that in. So I enjoyed the movie, and I like, I don't mind when they leave things to a little bit of interpretation there. I don't have a problem with that. Sometimes movies just leave you like, what the hell just happened, and just completely dump it on you, and leave a really weird too open ending, or an ending that just doesn't make sense. Here with this ending, I think you could probably pick at least 2, maybe 3 different ways that this story could have gone, and I think that's pretty cool. And it gives horror fans something to discuss. So of course, if you've seen this movie and you have a certain point of view of which way this movie went, I would love to hear that. Either on social media or in the comment section below. So with that, I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 pools of blood. I thought it was really well done. Good use of being brutal and so forth. They might try to give you the effect of a scare or two early on in the movie, but it's really not that kind of movie. It's more just about, how you view the set of events, and of course, take in how brutal it is with the girls. It is a tough watch, but I thought it was really done overall, and I thought, both the 2 young girls did a good job, especially with everything that was happening to them in this movie and taking a beating, and the 2 guys were pretty strange and creepy as it was. So with that, again, 3.5 pools of blood. I hope you'll check this one out. And again, let me know what you think is really happening here in this movie. Again, I tried to make this as spoiler free as I could. Probably said too much at the end of the day, but I hope I didn't. I don't go into this trying to ruin it for you. So with that, horrorgory-reviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more reviews, written reviews as well. Subscribe to this channel for more video reviews, and social media is down below. So again, you can comment here or comment on social media when I share this video, your thoughts on this one and any of the other movies I'm reviewing, or even if you just want to talk horror, visit me there as well. So I thank you for checking out this review, and I hope you will check out this movie and enjoy it as I apparently did, and I will catch you later, horror fans.